Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Westport Board of Health, February 6th, 2023 meeting, which I am calling to order. A couple of announcements under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F. This meeting is being recorded. And if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we turn to our presentation by our Animal Control Officer, Nick Vidmar, on living with coyotes.
Hi everyone, my name is Nick Vidmar. I'm the Animal Control Officer of the Town of Westport. Tonight I'm going to talk to you guys about coyotes, especially right now it being mating season. There's been a lot of activity, especially with the warmer weather we've been having. They're definitely confused. But I'm going to talk to you guys about the coyote today. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about the background and identification of the coyote, their diet, their habitat. I'm going to talk to you about the mating season going on right now, conflicts with people, rabies, maturing coyotes, hazing, keeping your pet safe, the role of animal control, and what you guys as residents can do in your towns dealing with these coyotes. All right, background identification. They're found in all 50 states except Hawaii. Reason being is it's an island, so if they get there, they're either brought there or they swam, but chances are very slim. They've been adapting with people for over 100 years, so they've been living among us for many, many years. They're also known as the prairie wolf or the brush wolf. The way you can identify them is their weight is typically 25 to 35 pounds. The eastern coyote stands 23 to 26 inches tall, and the body length is 42 to 52 inches long. It also includes a 12 to 15 inch tail. That's including the overall length of it. The fur varies from gray-brown to a yellow-gray. You can also identify them. They have a pretty decent sized black tipped tail. So that's a really good distinction to identify a coyote. The eyes are yellow or amber in color. The prints are identical to the domestic dog, but the thing with the domestic dog is if you look at their prints, if you say you're on a beach, if you see prints going in an exact straight line, that's a coyote. If they're sort of, jagged and everything, that's a dog. They have separate gaits. They also do a lot of vocalizations, yips, barks, howls. There's definitely been a lot of activity at night with the mating season going on. So if you have two in your backyard, two can feel like you've got a dozen of them in your backyard. Very interesting but scary at the same time. They are not German Shepherds. A lot of people can sometimes confuse the two. In the picture you see here, there are two photos, one on top, one on the bottom. The one on the top is a eastern coyote. The one on the bottom is the German Shepherd dog. As you can see on the top, you can see the fur is a little bit thicker. If you can get the legs, that'd be great. You can see it a little bit better. To do that. But the fur is a lot thicker, as I was saying, and then the dog below is a German Shepherd dog, a sable shepherd. Their fur is a little bit more finer, more, I guess you could say, it's easier to see how thick it is rather than thin. All right, so, and then of course, if you look at their muzzle here, the coyote has a little bit more narrower muzzle. And of course, it's got that big bushy tail at the end. All right, let's talk about their diet. So diets of coyotes are mainly small mammals. Mice, rats, voles, rabbits, and prairie dogs. They also eat berries as well. They also can eat fruit. And then, of course, a lot of times you'll see them on the side of the road eating deceased animals hit by cars. In urban areas such as our town here, they can eat dog food and cat food, and then they can also eat stuff from your garbage can. There is a possibility that they can get a hold of a cat or a small dog. It's sad, but they can do that. They are visual predators, meaning they hunt with their eyes. They're very keen on their senses. Their smelling and their hearing are very keen with them. They are extremely efficient hunters. They do not hunt in packs. They typically hunt alone. Like at the bottom, coyotes do not hunt in packs, only wolves do. And then at the bottom, these are the type of animals they eat. So of course they eat, cat and dog food, and then your eastern cottontail, your little meadow vole, or I think that's a meadow mouse, and then of course your prairie dog / groundhog / prairie dog. All right, habitats. They like open space. They like large fields. They like rural forests, thickets, marshes, woodlands, and as well as populated suburbs. They're mostly diurnal, so they are most active during the dawn and dusk hours. If you see them during the day, that technically doesn't mean they're sick. They're trying to find their way around. It's their behavior you must look at. So in these pictures you can see one is in a field, the other is a suburban neighborhood. The reason why they like suburban neighborhoods is because that's where easy food is. Cat food, dog food, garbage. The picture on the bottom, you can see this coyote is literally in this guy's driveway. Here's a truck right here. So they're very adaptable, and I'll show you a picture at the end of how adaptable they are. Mating season. Mating season usually starts at the beginning of January, goes till, middle of January to the end of March. Males especially become very aggressive. We're talking about them, coming up closer to humans. If they feel threatened by them, they'll go after your dogs if they feel threatened. They'll go after you if they feel threatened. So there's a lot more activity you'll see from them. They're more vocal than normal. It's not necessarily stating that they're hunting. It's that they're mating and they're trying to see where everyone is in that area. Their home range is typically 2 to 5 square miles. And then, of course, in April and May, they give birth to their pups. Once their pups are born in April or May, they reside in dens, so they're typically in steep banks, rock crevices, or underbrush. And then that's where mom will protect them for the next month and a half, 2 months, and then they'll expand outwards. So conflicts with people. Conflicts usually don't happen with them. If it does, it's because either the coyote is quite young or the coyote is either sick and out of it. Attacks on human are rare in Massachusetts. Of course, if you look out west, there definitely, there's been a couple of cases where coyotes will attack you. They see humans as threats, so that's the biggest reason why they don't attack. And then, like I said, sick coyotes may go after kids or pets. With human attacks, it's either provoked or unprovoked. So if a coyote, like I said, sees you as a threat, they'll investigate and try to figure you out. And then I'll talk about how you can take care of that. They're also a common nuisance. So if they find that your farm, for instance, is a nice place to live, they'll stay there. They've got food, they've got water in areas, and they've got shelter. So once they're there for a long time, and it's a matter of getting them out is the thing. They also kill livestock as well, especially lambs, because those are the smaller ones. They really are defenseless, so they're easy prey for the coyotes, unfortunately. The biggest thing is you should never, ever, ever, ever run away from a coyote, because that makes them go into chase mode, and they'll chase you. Similar to dogs, if you run away from the dog, they'll want to chase you. Here in this picture, you can see that this coyote has identified this dog and this walker. Even though the dog is on a leash, this coyote is still very interested in this dog. So let's talk a little bit about rabies. Coyotes are carriers of rabies. It's transferred through saliva, so if the coyote goes up to your dog or to you, bites you, you've got to get your rabies shot, or the dog has to, or the coyote has to get captured and tested if it is found. Rabies is not treatable. It is 100% fatal. Like I said earlier, they can go after your large dog if they feel threatened from them. If your pet comes into contact with a coyote, it must be quarantined. For vaccinated animals, it's 45 days, and then for non-vaccinated, it's 4 months. It takes that long for the rabies virus to affect the animal, so that's why it's such a long period, is because the animal that was attacked by the coyote may show signs. And of course, always contact animal control if you see one acting aggressive more than normal. So in these pictures, this is actually a video that was taken. This guy definitely had something wrong with him, and then of course this one is just aggressive. But rabies is not something to mess with, especially with these guys. They can be really, really aggressive towards you if they have rabies. It's not fun either. So deterring coyotes, how do we get them away from us? How do we, get them to stop pestering us and our animals? You can do something called hazing. Hazing is an activity or series of activities conducted in an attempt to change the behavior of the habituated intruder. So basically, the more activity you do to the coyote will learn, hey, this person is not good, and every time I see this person or this environment, I should leave it. The goals of hazing: reverse the habitation, discourage coyotes from the area, so you want them completely out. Discourages the coyotes from people, and it increases awareness about coyote behavior. So if you're watching these coyotes and you're seeing, them leaving, that's good. So hazing, there's a couple of types of hazings, okay? First one is basic hazing, basically making loud noise. When people call me stating that they have a coyote on their yard, I say, all right, get something that makes loud noise. What I recommend is get, if you have them, metal trash can lids work really well. You get a metal trash can lid, and you get a stick, and you beat the stick on the lid, and it makes a very loud noise, and you basically run at the coyote. Yelling at the coyote, waving arms while approaching should work. They should be like, whoa, what is this person doing? And they should back away. Of course, making loud noises with its objects. If you can whistle really loudly, do the whistle. If you have an air horn, use an air horn. Megaphone, use a megaphone. Soda can filled with rocks. So if you put like pebbles in an empty soda can, you put your thumb at the top of it and you shake it, it should make pretty significant amount of sound, and that should deter them from the area as well. Throwing things at them, such as sticks, rocks, rubber balls in the direction of the coyote to get them to leave the area is good. And of course, if you're watering your garden, if you have a hose in your hand, if they approach you, you can just spray them with the hose. And I always recommend, spraying the coyote as it's running. Don't spray it and then it goes. Spray it and then follow it with the nozzle. And then, of course, there's high-intensity hazing, where it's approaching the animal very quickly. So throwing projectiles, running at it, paintballs, pepper balls, or even pepper spray. But that's if it's very aggressive towards you. Lethal control should only be absolutely necessary, okay? So if it's a very aggressive coyote, you're going to want to call either the police department or animal control. The biggest thing is continue to haze that coyote. The more you do it, the more the coyote will learn to stay away from your area, okay? All right, so what can you do about keeping your pet safe? Always, always, always put your dogs on a leash. Take them out on a leash, especially during coyote mating season, okay? Don't leave your pets outside unattended, especially during mating season, because if you leave them outside and if you go inside, a coyote might come up. We did have an incident where that happened. The person let their dog out, and a coyote came within 5 feet of their house and attacked the dog. And of course, don't feed your pets outside. That's the dry food and wet food we talked about earlier. They'll come and feed, and the more you feed your pets outside, the more the coyote will come back in the yard and eat that food. Of course, keep your cats inside to avoid being eaten during mating season. So if they're wandering, if they come across a coyote, that might be a meal for the coyote. A lot of people ask, how about fenced-in yards? The answer is not really. They can climb high fences, especially if there's something on the next door neighbors, like a little shed. They can simply hop over that and then hop over the fence and get into your yard. So bottom line is, go out with your pets. Your pets are safer with you on a leash. And then, of course, with the hazing, if a coyote does come in your yard with your pet there, you can do the hazing techniques I showed you earlier. So what is the role of myself, animal control? My role is to help residents handle coyote encounters and educate them. So they call me and say, hey, Nick, I got a call, or I have a coyote here, he's not leaving. I said, okay, well, here's some hazing techniques you can do. And then if they say, no, Nick, it's actually showing signs of aggression, then that's when I go and respond. I also issue quarantines, like I said earlier, to the animals involved with the coyote encounter. Like I said, we had one incident this year with a coyote attacking the dog 5 feet away from the house. We also go out to sick coyotes on residents' property. I have had one coyote so far. And then, of course, if there is one in the area, I like to just go out and monitor that coyote, see if he's actually sick, if he's hanging around, or if he's walking through one yard into the other side of the yard. That's what some people say. Oh, he's walking from one side to the yard to the other. I say, okay. Now, when he's walking, is he walking in a straight line and to the end of your yard and then going into the next door neighbors, or is he going to your yard and then hanging out and then just chilling? So that's all what I do there. So of course you can see in these pictures, these two coyotes here have been apprehended by animal control. You can see this one looks pretty gnarly looking. This one is definitely trying to fight the catch pole. It actually has a catch pole in its mouth. And then of course this coyote's just hanging around and just being... All right, so what can residents do about coyotes? Of course, don't leave your pets outside, okay? Even in fenced-in yards. Don't leave food or water out if you feed feral cats. I would say bring that food inside, especially at night. They'll find other food. They'll find little critters to eat. Of course, don't feed coyotes. Don't put food out for them. Of course, cover your garbage can lids. Rake your bird feeders. Reason being is because if there's small animals that come and eat the bird feeder seeds, that will just attract more predators. Of course, cover openings under your house and shed. Reason being is, come springtime when mom is wanting to give birth to her pups, they will use your deck, your shed for a den. And let me tell you, it's not a pretty sight for having a coyote living under your porch. Of course, keep your dogs on leashes at all times, especially right now. Of course, never corner a coyote if you can avoid it. Once they get cornered, they feel threatened, and that's when issues arise. And then, of course, trapping does not work. Don't set up a large trap in your yard, because he'll probably come back if you relocate it, and that's actually illegal too. It's best to try to haze them off your property so they don't come back. This photo was taken out out west. I love this photo because it shows how adaptive these animals are. This is an SUV. This coyote has decided to make this SUV a vantage point where he can see all around him, all right? There was a woman that was driving down her neighborhood, and she saw this coyote on top of her neighbor's car. And that goes to show you how deeply habituated they are to any environment. They can live in pretty much anything. Cities, they live in New York City. They live here in Westport. They live anywhere they can adapt to. And that's it. If anyone has any questions for me, that's pretty much it.
All right.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
That was a very thorough presentation. Thank you, Nick. We're going to move on. We have a few minutes before our first appointment. We'll start with a written report from the director. Any questions from board members?
None from me, Madam Chair.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, then we'll move on to your verbal report. Matt?
Okay, so start with the COVID update. We ended January with 85 cases, 3 hospitalizations, 2 deaths. February, we're just starting out, but we have 7 confirmed cases, no hospitalizations or deaths being reported at this time. Pump reports look okay. Moving on to the director approved plans. We have 4-bedroom new construction on a 258,640 square foot lot on 18 White Oak Run. Applicant's name is Haven Home Builders. Using an ARC 36 and a microfast. It's been Concom reviewed. We have a 3-bedroom new construction on a 24,290 square foot lot on 107 Plymouth Boulevard, using Quick Forward and Advantix. And we also have a 3-bedroom new construction on 33 Narrow Ave for Benito Moniz III, using a stone bed and a microfast. They've all been Concom reviewed.
Do we need a deed restriction on the
We
one?
do, we need a 3-bedroom deed restriction for the 107 Plymouth Boulevard.
Okay, and these are all D-Night systems. Any questions or comments from the board? Then I take a motion to endorse those approvals.
I move that we endorse the director-approved plans, including that 107 Plymouth Boulevard have a 3-bedroom deed restriction.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. Bob, you got all those addresses? You're all set? Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to animal control. Well, we'll see what Nick's been up to, but great presentation. He's been busy, with the cold weather. On Saturday, he, stayed on calls to triage any calls that might have come in, aside from all of his other duties and responsibilities. So he's doing a pretty good job over there. Transfer station, business as usual. We're on the hunt for an attendant. If anybody knows anybody, please encourage them to apply. But other than that, things are pretty well down there. I needed to read this last thing before I forget. We still have flu shots available, so anybody who's looking for a flu shot, please call Linda, the public health nurse, to come in and get your flu shot. We have Narcan kits, so if anybody knows of anybody or have family members that may be in need of these kits, please again call the town nurse. We do have them available. And we do have some COVID-19 rapid antigen home test kits available, and we have some more on the way. So please don't be shy. If you need some, come pick them up.
Great, thank you. Okay, we can do the minutes for January 23rd.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with the minutes, Madam Chair.
Okay,
I am also.
Okay, so I move that we approve the minutes from January 23rd, 2023.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, we've got a couple minutes before 4:30. You want to take up the request for extension of a septic system repair installation for 1636D Drift Road. We have a letter from the homeowners explaining the circumstances why they were not able to move forward with, I guess they did a demolition and rebuilding the house, and therefore the septic system. So any thoughts on this? Questions or thoughts?
Seemed good justification.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, anything, Matt, any comments from you?
No, I don't have any comments. You know, it's still sitting as a vacant lot. The home was demolished, and, you know, I think they covered everything in their letter.
Okay. How long an extension should we grant? They didn't ask specifically.
They didn't, but it looks like they're gonna, well, they are looking to extend the permit to begin construction by the end of first quarter '24. So that would be a year from now, right? That'd be the first quarter of '24.
Yeah,
So I would say 12 months.
okay. So 1-year extension. Which would be March 9th is when they run out. So March 9th, 2024. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll move to approve an extension of the septic plan for 1636D Drift Road until March 9th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, thank you. Okay. My cell phone says 4:30, so I think we can call the
Yes, mine
4:30.
does too.
We'll come back to board member updates after our appointments. So I'll call the 4:30 public hearing to order. This is for a large piggery permit at 138 Adamsville Road. Applicants are Norman Anderson and Lori Marinoni for approximately 35 pigs on a very large property, 1 million acre, or 1 million square feet. So if you'd like to come forward.
You want us to sit here, Tanya? or-
Sure, that's fine. Yep. As long as you're comfortable with that.
Do you need us to put a microphone in front so that it picks up, or?
Yep, why don't you?
Just kind of,
Theo was instructed to give that to you.
I know this is more for the recording than anything else.
Right, yep, thank you. Do you want to just describe, we have the full application, we've reviewed it, but if you want to describe your request a little bit, and then I'll go to a report from Matt, and if there are abutters who want to make comment, we will entertain that.
Sure, we can just quickly review what was essentially in the letter to the abutters. We have a small piggery permit now where we raise feeder pigs for market. That's when you buy in piglets and you raise them to slaughter weight. Takes about 9 months and we send them to Meatworks. We keep most of the meat for ourselves, but we can sell it retail because it is processed at Meatworks. What we would like to do now is apply for the next level up so that we can breed 1 or 2 mature sows on the property. And the breed that we're raising now is called Gloucestershire Old Spot. They're delicious pastured pigs, very tender, juicy, pink meat, very unlike supermarket meat. There's a big demand for them. And what we would like to be able to do is sort of help preserve the breed. It's an endangered breed, a heritage breed, and sort of bring a little bit more local pork back to Westport. The reason we need the large piggery permit, and that's kind of a scary term, I think, for any neighbors or abutters, is to do any breeding at all. And the only reason why I put a maximum of 25 pigs on that application is because we need to account for any litters of piglets and any adolescent or adult pigs on the property. We would sell all but 2 to 4 of the piglets from all the litters. So at any given time, I don't anticipate us having any more than 2 mature sows, a breeding boar, and possibly 4 feeders on the property. But just to cover the number of piglets that can come from any litter, that's why that large, scary number of 25 is there.
Okay.
The pigs are pastured, so they move in rotational grazing. There's no clustering of manure or smell or any of that sort of thing. They're really a very clean animal, actually, if they're not overcrowded. And they are in one of our large back pastures. I don't anticipate that any of our neighbors except the Lewises would even see or hear them, and I don't anticipate that any neighbors would ever smell them. We certainly don't want to smell a nasty pig smell, and it wouldn't transfer over to the neighbors. Trying to think if there's anything else critical there to talk about. Do you guys have any questions for us about the raising of the pigs or the setbacks or distance to water? It's all on the schematic in terms of how far from the brook we are, and
Okay. Before we go to questions, I'm going to turn to Matt's report, and then we'll open it up for questions from the board and then from abutters. Thank you,
Sure.
Lori.
did I miss anything that you wanted to cover? Okay, thanks.
She always does, doesn't she?
So I don't have any questions other than the schematic was a little faint, but I know I was speaking with Donna earlier. She had, I don't know if you want to take it, Donna?
No, there's just that, part of the questions in here are where is things in relation to the well. And so that's not in the schematic, so it would be important.
It is actually on the schematic.
It
It's-
is?
I know, it's so tiny. Yep, so our copy looks like this. The well is at the very top. And we only have one copy of this, we can pass it around. So the well is just to the east of the house, to the north of the main barn. Do you have this version?
I don't have that
We
version.
do not.
Okay, so this was, we gave when we dropped this off at the office, we brought the letter to the abutters and the schematic, but you guys can use this one. So the well is the farthest away from the pigs of everything.
Okay.
Buildings,
Does it have distance on there? Okay.
You see the well right there?
I think you marked all the distances. From Google Earth, yeah. It's probably super tiny.
Yeah, I can't read it.
Can you read it, Norman? Do you remember?
Distance from Boar Pen to Angeline Brook is 362 feet. Distance from Sow Field or the pen to the brook is 412 feet.
Okay.
Distance from the well to the Boar Pen is 185 feet, and distance from the well to the Sow Pen is 290 feet.
Good. Yeah, that was my only question,
Sure.
was that our application has that information in it, and I couldn't find that information.
Yeah, sorry, that's, I don't know why that schematic didn't translate through, but yeah, he did measure all of those carefully.
Okay, thank you.
And I apologize that I only brought that one copy because I thought you all had it in your files.
That's okay. Any other questions from
So
board members?
I know you walked through this, but just to understand, so you have kind of mobile pens and mobile, what do you call them?
Shelters?
Shelters, and you just move them around the acreage?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, the pigs are trained on electric fence, so that breaks down easily and moves, and so the steel huts
yeah,
and the fences, the small area, they get shifted throughout that big pasture.
okay. And how long you've been raising the pigs for? On a small permit?
Almost 3 years.
Okay. Okay. And we haven't had any problems or complaints, so that's, okay.
Okay, if we're good from the board, I will open it up to if there are any abutters. Please come forward, state your name for the record, and you are free to comment or ask questions.
I am in a butter. My name is Martha Manchester. My only concern, I don't really care about the pigs. I'm on the east side, right on the brook. My concern is the brook. That's really the only thing I'm worried about.
Okay,
You could have 100 pigs, but I'm just concerned about, I see what comes down that brook now, and I'm concerned about it. What else is, gonna happen to it?
okay.
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Well, we did read through the distances to this Angeline Brook, and those are fairly substantial, mitigating distances, I would say. Any other abutters? Have any comment?
We
Question.
are, but, Haskins, 91 Adamsville Road.
Okay,
We've never had any problems with anything they've done over there. The only thing that scared us was when it says
Large.
large entry permit.
I know.
There's no cap. Now, do you cap it? Or is it like, why don't, I know they only want to have 30. Is it capped at a certain number, or could you wake up someday and have 100?
well, that's something that we can consider, based
I
on,
just, you know, and I don't think there'll be a problem, like I said, they've been good neighbors, and we're in a farm community.
Right.
So, we
Yep.
understand that.
okay.
That's part of living here.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Okay, I'll open it up for the board for consideration.
Well, following on that comment, I was thinking, depending on feedback from you, would be to condition the permit consistent with the kind of bullets you've laid out as far as, 2 breeding sows, an intact boar, 1 to 2 litters of piglets, up to 24 total, weaned at 8 weeks and sold by 12 weeks, and then 4 young stock. And then if something changed, you could always come back in and say your operation changed and you wanted to change that. But maybe that would be a way, to address having it totally open-ended in terms of size.
I will tell you one thing, that there's no way that we would ever consider having 50 pigs or 100 pigs. It's just, the back pasture won't support that. We would really never, ever do that. So
Right.
it's not something that we aspire to, that size. I mean, you'd really have to have a commercial cement piggery if you wanted to raise
Right.
that many pigs. You can't raise that many with pastured pigs on 30 acres.
Yeah.
We would just never do that. The one thing that makes me a little nervous is that we have no idea how many piglets we'll get from each
Right,
farrowing. So
right.
it's a little dicey. I mean, pigs have 14 teats. We could conceivably have 14 times 2, and if we were to do 2 farrowings, 2 more. So if we're wanting to count all of the potential piglets that we might
Yeah.
have in the course of a summer, we just need to be careful because we can't control that.
Right. I was reading the regulations, and I think that the number of piglets don't count as long as they're sold within a certain period of time. Is that right, Matt?
It says 8 weeks though, so
Mm,
eight is really when you should wean a piglet. So
Yeah.
they would not be sold by 8 weeks. They would be sold by
So if
12
we
or
said-
16.
okay, so
So
if we expanded it to
technically, I
12.
needed to include the number of
Right,
piglets to be
right.
honest about how many
Right.
animals we would have on the
Right.
property.
Right. So without necessarily setting a number, we could, just, set a time period by which piglets would need to be sold if we wanted to do that. Or not, I don't just,
I would shy away from being too prescriptive because I imagine, I'm not a farmer, but life on a farm is somewhat
Pretty
unpredictable.
unpredictable.
So I think might be more comfortable to have like a maximum adult pig number, and with up to 28 piglets at a time, something like that. And I think the maximum of adults were above piglet size. You had those listed at,
yeah, well, it's really, I think after the 12 weeks, the piglets get counted as pigs,
right,
so.
but they suggesting they'd keep young stock, so 7, so, no less than 8, I mean, no more than 8 or 10 adult, above piglet size, whatever you want. And then up to 2 litters of piglets at a time, something like that. Just as a way, rather than trying to say a specific grouping of 2 sows, 1 boar. I mean,
Right,
I
right.
imagine that
Yeah.
there might be overlap or whatever.
I think we would be comfortable with 10 adult animals.
Okay,
If you're considering adolescent as an adult, you know, anything over 12 weeks, if
Yeah.
that's considered an adult.
right,
10 adults at a time.
okay,
The piglets are a little tricky, honestly, because it depends on whether you sell them for feeders or for breeders. And so the Gloucestershire Old Spot Network, the GOS network, is growing in the US, but sometimes it takes a little while to get them sold and shipped. It's sort of a east of the Mississippi kind of thing. So I'm not sure how you wanted to limit that. Are you saying how many piglets at a time?
no, well, no more than 2 litters at a time, I guess, whatever number that might be. Is that a reasonable way to,
Yes,
Constrained.
so they would, yeah, so we would stagger them. We would not want the 2 sows to give birth at the same time. So we
Okay.
would say maybe it gets complicated, like a March and a May farrowing, and then maybe a September and a November farrowing,
Mhm.
potentially. So, you know, when you roll over into a new year, those piglets from November could be 8 weeks, they could be 10 weeks at the new year. I mean, I just want to let you know what happens with the births. So if
Right.
you, I mean, we want no more than 4 farrowings a year, essentially.
okay. So
So-
a total of 4 litters a year, generally spaced out,
Yes.
one spring, one fall.
Yes. And if
Okay.
we were to try to calculate a maximum number, I mean, it ranges from usually 8 to 10 piglets. It really depends. If
Yeah.
you wanted to say 12 piglets times 4 litters, you could say technically 48 is probably the maximum piglets we would ever have in a year.
In a year,
In
but
a
I'm,
calendar
yeah,
year.
we're talking about at a time, so I think no more than 2, you really only gonna have,
Yes, we want them staggered.
right. Okay, I would suggest that we do a limit based on litters rather than specific number of piglets, but I'm open to what
No,
the
I mean,
board
there's a
would like
way
to-
in which I think the regulation is written that if we said that you didn't need, that you couldn't have more than 10 adults, that the implication would be, right, that no matter how many piglets you had, they would all have been sold or otherwise moved off the farm, you know, by 12 weeks. Because then they would graduate to be adults
And they would count towards the
and
10.
they would count
Yeah.
towards the adult part of it. So it could be the simple, you know, that could be the simple, kind of simple way to do it. But and the alternative way would be, or maybe it is, to do it as, you were saying 2 sets a season kind of thing, not using the right terminology, but
2 litters,
2 litters or 4 litters a year,
right. That's-
yeah.
I have
I-
a question, how are we gonna monitor that?
We won't, I mean, I
Right.
think it's just,
And-
I think it's just trying to set expectations
Yeah,
is really, I think, just
I
what
think
we're,
it's-
yeah, I think we're just what we're
I
trying to
think
do.
it's reasonable to set the limit of adults. What defines an adult for a pig?
I
Well,
think by the
about 12.
regulations, 12 weeks
it
of
12
age.
weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right,
that's really an adolescent. I mean, that's still a piglet, but I understand that at some point you consider it an adult animal, so.
okay, so,
The pleasure of the board. How do you want to proceed?
That's complicated.
Welcome to farming.
yeah, so,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
so I'm just, are you comfortable with the, kind of the no more than 10 and no more than
4 farrowings.
4 farrowings?
Yeah, I'm doing all the work, so that's
Okay.
a lot of work.
Okay, no more than
Well-
10 adults and 4 farrowings.
Farrow, F-A-R-R-O-W.
We'll see how that goes.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's a
No,
lot. I mean,
okay,
that's,
okay, yeah,
It's the max.
Okay.
We don't want to overwork you.
And I
right.
just have a quick question for
Okay.
the abutter who had concerns. Does that sound reasonable to you? Yes, okay.
And
Okay,
That's
And
what
then-
that's what we're responding to
More than
here.
that, I mean, I'm just looking at, we're just looking at, and the neighbor next to us, who couldn't be here because the car wouldn't start, she planned to come, that you don't wake up some morning with 100, and she's explained that already.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So,
And like I said, they've
right.
been awesome, you wouldn't even know they were there.
Okay.
And
So-
also, we did say this in the letter, and if, you can't see the pigs from the street, but if any of you would like to come and see the pigs, and just see the goats and the rest of the operation, please call us and set up some time to come over.
Yeah. And I appreciate your making the statement that we are a town, the right to farm, right? And how we manage that, and how, as the Board of Health, we determine what's safe from a public health standpoint is also our role. So, but thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and also a big part of us self-limiting our operation is animal welfare too, because we want healthy animals and we want them to be well taken care of. We don't want to overdo it, that's for sure. So,
And you don't want to overstress him, because he's going to be doing all
he's
the
already
work.
overstressed.
Okay, well, we certainly appreciate your presentation on.
Want somebody else to
oops,
speak?
sorry.
Yeah.
Ray Raposo.
Another abutter.
I'm the neighbor of Norman Laurie on the backside. I've known them for quite a few years now, even before they moved to the farm where they are. And I don't foresee them getting out of control.
Okay.
Thank you. And then just I know you would do this, but if there was any sort of escape or something, that you would contact animal control and make sure, because we don't want them ending up in the river.
No, absolutely not. And that's one thing I think is on the, I think it's on the schematic, but that pasture has stone walls and gates. So pigs really can't get up and over the stone walls. So it's contained by stone walls, and then inside that are the movable electric fences. So they're sort of double fenced.
Okay.
But trust me, we don't want a 400-pound animal running down the driveway either. Because they are not easy to catch.
Well, we occasionally have escaped cows, I know, in town, so good, we don't have escaped pigs. Okay, so it sounds like a motion to grant the permit for Norm Anderson and Lori Marinoni at 138 Adamsville Road for a large piggery with no more than 10 adult pigs and 4 farrowings per year, would be what we're looking for.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank
And
you.
thank
Thanks a
you
lot.
to the
Good luck.
abutters.
Thank you. Call us for pork chops.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm going to move on to the next hearing, which is for 4:40 PM, a Title V waiver hearing. Len Potter, representing Henry Swan at 1958 Main Road, a 4-bedroom repair with an Infiltrator Quick 4 on a 12,066-foot square lot. Good evening, Mr. Potter.
This is Henry Swan. Look at that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Here's your This is not, I'm part of this form of home design here for Henry Swan, 1958 Main Road. One-bedroom house. Existing and square footage of the lot is 12,066 square feet. There's a small, cesspool going to some kind of trench. However, there's a shed, a garage-type shed in the back that's on piers. I can get 100 feet away from all wells. The owner's well and the abutter to the south and the abutter to the north. I do need a variance to place the system 5 feet from the stone wall. And that'll give the compliance with Title V. And, I'm 5 feet away from that shed, but the shed is on piers, so there's no foundation for it. And so what we're asking for is a variance to allow the system to be placed less than 10 feet from the east property line, and the proposed setback is 5 feet, and that's per 15.405A. The setbacks in Title V.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. Mr. Potter, I'll turn to Matt for his report.
Not much you can do on this big lot, so, so I don't know what else we can do here. I think that's a good thing. I just said, what do they use the brick cistern for? Just the brick cistern, I was just curious. Do they use that for anything?
Yeah, there's a well point inside it, and they would use that years ago to, in other words, for water to wash clothes, et cetera. And it's a shallow well, so that way, or a very shallow well. So when the water table dropped in the summertime, they had water.
Oh.
That's what it was for. That's what the system is.
That's all I have.
They didn't drink it, but they had it for washing.
Questions from the board?
No?
If not, all set. I take a motion to grant approval with the local upgrade approval of distance, setback distance.
So I'll move to approve the plan for Henry Swan at 1958 Main Road, a 4-bedroom repair on a plan dated 1/7/23, subject to a 4-bedroom deed restriction and a setback for the SAS from the property line from 10 feet to 5 feet.
Do we need a hold harmless as well?
I think we only do that for wells, don't we not? Or do we do it for everything?
We do it for every.
Okay, and a hold harmless.
Okay.
I forget.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant approval for the 1958 Main Road septic repair with those conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, sorry. Sleep on the job. Okay, moving on to the 4:50 PM Title V waiver hearing for 591 Sanford Road, David Colville. This is a 3-bedroom repair with an infiltrator quick 4 on an 11,761-foot square lot. Len Potter again representing.
You get one follow this from environmental. What we have here is another small lot, and we have a existing cesspool on the property, existing failure. And we have in this area the occurrence of shared wells. And that's what this one is. The well is right on the property line between this property, 591 Sanford, and 358 Grace. The cesspool right now is about 75 feet, I believe, from the well. I can get 85 feet to the proposed beach field, which should be out of the water table. And I think that would work. Hopefully it would work a lot better. The water test came back with a nitrate level of 6.6 milligrams per liter. No nitrites and very little. So I just think that's the nature of the beast. The property on 358, I fixed that a long time ago. That's a long lot, and that system is pulled back. So that probably helped the situation. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking for a variance to allow him to replace the system for a 3-bedroom house, exclusive of the nitrate issue.
And would you go through the local upgrade approvals you're asking for?
You talk about
Would you like to go through the local upgrade approvals that you're asking for?
Three bedrooms, 11,761, a cesspool, 330 gallons a day, beach field, quick floors,
No, I meant the LUAs.
the LUA.
The local upgrade approval.
Your variance request.
Yeah, the variance request is 4051B. Proposed beach field is less than 20 feet from the cellar wall. proposed distance is 13.
Okay,
And what I would do to overcome that is to place a PVC barrier around the western edge of that septic system, so we don't get infiltration into the basement. And then the second variance is 4051G, proposed system is less than 100 feet from the owner and the butters shared well. Proposed distance is 85 feet.
okay, thank you. And this has a maximum feasible compliance request, which you have in your packets. I'm going to turn now to Matt for your report, and we'll open it up to the board.
So if the board accepts the plan as presented, the proposed plan, then I don't have a issue with the way it's presented
Okay.
as it is. But we have, the board, there is a maximum feasible compliance request. I don't know if the board's going to review that with Mr. Potter.
Thank you. We'll
This
open.
is one of the Kazi's acknowledgement.
Okay, thank you. Is that the shared well property owner? Okay,
58, yes.
okay, thank you. I'll open it up to the board. For questions and comments.
I do. It's a really tiny lot, and we have some, an elevated level of 6.5 nitrate on a tiny lot. And I'm wondering why D-nite is not presented as an option. And it can't be because of maximum feasible compliance for financial, because we don't have any numbers about how much it would cost, and we have a sort of a template, if we don't get that we use to determine financial financial hardship or inability to fit into the parameters. So I'm not sure why the financial is being presented as an MFC waiver.
I think what you're saying is that the proposed cost to add the D-nite component would still be less than 10% of the value of the property.
Correct.
Which is the threshold
Thank
we typically use.
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask Mr. Potter to respond to that.
What I'm saying is that the 6.6 milligrams per liter of nitrates, and being little or no ammonia on nitrite, that is well within the levels of the state and federal guidelines, which is 10 milligrams per liter. So I don't see a need to force this person to put in a denitrification system. If worse comes to worse, then I would suggest that the board use nitrate filter, which we have done in the past, up the road drive. 6.6 to 5 milligrams per liter. Minute.
Yeah, but it's for us on the board, 5 is the number that we begin to,
What is it?
above 5 is what we on the board begin
That's the
to,
board.
that's right, but we begin to challenge and look at what's going on, so.
I understand, it's the board saying that, not the state, not the feds.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah.
So I mean, I see the 5 as kind of the trigger level, but not really the, cut in stone as requiring a D-nite system. And, to me, this is really a borderline kind of situation, because the well is not really down gradient from the SAS. It's kind of, I can't remember, we probably have, but I can't really remember a situation where, where the well that we're looking at and treating as the site well is really an off-site well. It just happens to be shared. Do you know what
It
I'm
looks
saying?
like it's right on the border, though, of the
Right on
property.
line.
It's on the property line.
Oh, it's not this well?
No.
It's this
No.
well, yeah.
It's on
So-
the property line.
Right. So, I mean, I honestly, yeah, but, and I honestly don't think this presents a significant public health threat because it is, you know, relatively close to, you know, to 5. And there's an awful, you know, there's, you know, it doesn't trip my, we really need to do something about this to protect, you know, to protect public water supply, because I think there's, because it's a lot closer to 5 than it is to 10. It's not even at the kind of halfway point.
Thank you. I guess my comment is, because this is a shared well, there's 2 parties involved, and I agree that an upgrade from a cesspool is definitely an improvement, and we're working on getting rid of all those cesspools, so I'm happy to see everyone that gets upgraded. It is relatively flat, the lot, so I would be, but because of the fact that it's a shared well, I would be inclined to support the solution Mr. Potter suggested of a denitrifying unit on the well, as a way to protect both the property owner and the abutter, or the other well owners. I don't know what else is around, so that would be one way of compromising.
They install a nitrate filter like we do in Old Drive.
Pardon?
They had counted it off. They had 8 milligrams per liter on Old Drive
Uh-huh.
a couple of years ago. I mean, I'm saying 30,000, the prices of these units are going up every single day.
What I was suggesting is a denitrifying unit on the well.
What is it?
The denitrifying unit on the well,
Yes.
as opposed, oh, you're saying that that's, what are you saying about that?
The denitrifying filter goes in the basement where the water line comes in
Uh-huh.
and where it goes to the pressure tank to feed.
Okay, so you'd have to have a denitrifying unit on both houses, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying the other guy is what he's got. I didn't say to do that to him. That's up to him.
Mhm.
We should be notified, though, that
I did. This letter notifies him that by federal and state standards, maximum was 10 milligrams, but the local cooperative expressed as 5.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? I think we have not entirely a consensus here on the board. So there's 3 avenues. One, we approve the project as proposed. One is we request a denit. Second is that we request a upgrade to a denitrification unit. The third is to request or require a denitrifying unit on the well as a cheaper option to protect the drinking water.
I'm not, well,
we can't do that.
because it's a shared well,
Mhm.
I'm not sure that we can, it complicates that, because then I'm assuming that the 2 people would be, so we have one applicant in front of us, but we're really imposing a condition on 2 people to install and maintain a denitrifying system on the well. And I just don't know.
Well, I think what Mr. Potter is saying, he's only got this client in front of him, so the only one we can impose it on is this
Right,
property
right.
owner.
So I didn't know if
Well,
that meant
and he's-
I don't know if that
I'm
would
not
satisfy
sug-
you.
But he's not saying that he's gonna put it on the well. It's
No,
something
I
that goes
know,
to the
I know.
house.
I thought
Yeah.
that's what the chair was proposing. And that's what I meant.
Okay.
I think that having a nitrate filter on the, you know, on his individual system is a way to protect it, but I don't think it doesn't solve whatever potential problem for the abutting well, the abutter's well is, but at the same time, I don't know that the applicant could necessarily force that to be put
Right,
on.
I'm not suggesting that the applicant can do that. I'm just talking about the property that's in front of us.
Try to
Okay.
install the nitrate filter and test the well like you always do,
Mhm.
3 years after, and see what happens.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board? We have a couple of options. Anybody want to make a motion?
I mean, I would make a motion, but I think does not address either of your concerns, so I don't think it would be adopted, so I'm not going to, I mean, I'm fine with the plan the way it is, basically. So if you want to propose something more, then,
Haven't we had a discussion about we can't make someone put a D-night on in their house, or didn't we determine that our jurisdiction is on the septic system?
right, I mean, if someone agrees to it as a condition of obtaining a permit, then I think then we have an agreement about it.
Okay.
I think it gets more complicated if it doesn't work out that way and we want to enforce something, then it would get more complicated. I don't think usually it gets to that point.
What are you thinking, Donna?
I mean, one of the things that I think that even though we're not concerned about what happens to the house next door that shares the well, that we should send a letter saying this is our recommendation. We've recommended it to the neighbor for their home to do the D-night filter. You know, I don't want to say that because somebody's not here, we're not reviewing their plan, that we don't at least in a shared well, that we tell the other person that this is what we recommend. So I would like that to happen. I just keep looking at how small this lot is and the fact that the well is less than 100 feet from the SAS.
Mr. Potter, would your client accept a condition of a denitrifying unit on the well?
A D-night filter?
Filter on the well?
Sure it would.
Okay,
And test the well for 3 years after the system goes in.
Yeah,
okay,
with a letter to the abutter
yes,
recommending a D-night.
that Board of
Filter.
Health recommends that
Okay.
to both.
Okay. I think that would Phil
Sure.
be amenable to that? Okay. You want to make that motion? Want me to make
All
the motion?
right, I move that we approve the plan for 591 Sanford Road, owned by David Colville, dated 1/2/23, with the variance of the SAS to the basement wall at 13 feet instead of 20, and the SAS at 85 feet from the owner and the abutters shared well, with the following conditions. That the owner places a denitrification filter in his home, and that, well, we'll notify the abutter, but that is contingent on that owner agreeing to that, as well as a hold harmless agreement, 3-bedroom deed restriction, and 3 years of water testing. And the water testing, would we make it for both? Well, it actually it's the same well, so
We don't have to do it twice.
we don't have to do both.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the project at 591 Sanford Road with those conditions. All in favor? Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Potter.
Glenn, can you just submit the, whatever filter you put in, just the specs for the file, so we know that that property has it?
Got it.
Anybody
And
asks.
we have the abutters address to send that letter to, right?
Same one
Correct.
that we use in Woodbury.
Okay.
And I was very sad to see that tree chopped down, and I didn't know why. Now I know why.
That tree?
On that property, there was a tree right on the corner,
Yeah.
because I lived in that neck of the woods, and I saw that. I said, why did they cut that tree down? Now I know why.
The highway department wanted it done.
Is that right?
When it's leaved out, it blocks the view to the south.
Well, they wouldn't have been able, you would have to probably do it anyway to put the septic in,
This, yeah.
to SAS in.
For this.
Okay, thank you. I am now calling the 5 PM discussion, Title V inspection report needs further evaluation for 17 Reed Road, Jason Patterson. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Potter.
Lenny.
Nitrates at 11.9. This is on a 71 square foot lot. And there's, I guess this is a new owner, because what we had looked at before was, why am I not seeing? Okay, I'm going to turn to Matt for kicking off the discussion here.
All right, so this came to us for needs further evaluation by the local approving authority because of the distance to the well and the high nitrates. The property currently is being renovated. There's a big dumpster in the yard. There's building permits issued for interior renovations. Right now, there's really no plan in the file, with grades or anything like that to, let me know how, if it's downgrading to the well or not. When I drove by a couple of times, take a look at it, it's pretty flat, it looks like, but that doesn't mean it's sloping in one direction or another. So it does have a pit, I believe, and a tank in front of it. So I don't know, it's an old property, it's the original, probably the original system, and sometime they threw a tank in between at some point. So, say it's good as time as any since they're renovating the place to bring the system up to a compliant system. Get these nitrates down.
Yeah, I mean, they've been increasing, obviously,
Yes.
since prior reports, so my inclination would be to fail it. But I'm open to what other folks.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of wonder why in the 4 years between the second and the most current report, that it went from 1 to almost 12.
That's sort of a warning sign.
And, but I agree, I think, I think there is a real, public health impact here on the drinking water, and I think it's just up to the applicant to come in and decide, or maybe he'll consult with you, Matt, about what kind of system to put in.
Yeah, so what we'll do is if the board fails it, then we'll send out a letter saying the system was failed, all the standard language from coming off the meeting, and then I'm sure they'll engage me in discussion after they receive the letter.
Yeah. And it would be, requires upgrade within 2 years, or do we need sooner because of the wells?
There's no ponding or runoff, so I wouldn't consider it an emergency failure, so I think that, the 2 years would apply.
I mean, it's not occupied now, right?
No, not
Yeah,
anymore. I mean,
so-
historically, it's been occupied. It was a horse, they had a bunch of horses there for a long time. And, but, since the new owner and the same person's not living there anymore, all that has gone away.
Well, that could explain why the nitrogen is so high, if it's from manure.
Possible. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to fail the septic system at 17 Reed Road based on the nitrates, high nitrates.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to fail the Title V inspection for 17 Reed Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Okay, we have board member updates, and that's it for this meeting. So, anything folks want to share? Board member?
Yes, I mean, I've started working, planning, contacting people regarding Mental Health Awareness Month in May. I've met with Linda, who has some ideas. If we were to try to hold a health or wellness fair at some point this year. And so we've begun the process of talking about it and planning for it.
Great.
I'm just, chugging away, almost on the cusp of finishing off the unsurveyed files. So it should happen the next day or so.
Great, thank you. Then we will have reviewed every single one of our 7,000, 8,000 files.
I'm still on Drift Road.
Yeah, but that's data entry, that's another.
Oh, yeah,
matter.
that's it.
So that's great, and we will need to circle back to the communication then to property owners who have cesspools will need to upgrade up by February 26th. And we'll need to get information. We have hundreds of properties where we have no plan on file, so we need to ask, get those people to either provide plans or have a Title V inspection or some.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this could be part of a larger discussion, but I think it could be helpful, even if preliminarily, even while the data entry kind of is going on, just to be able to reach out, with a letter to the people who have no plans, so that we would have a better idea of what the universe is. And it's kind of a neutral thing, and just give them the opportunity to either submit a plan or explain to them that they should get an inspection of their system.
Right.
And just start, to get that going.
Yep.
And, we can just do it in batches so that you don't get overwhelmed, so to speak, even if,
Okay, so.
we did whatever the appropriate number was a month or something like that. Or, every
right.
couple of weeks, we could send out another.
Okay, so let's make a goal that we get the information packet for both cesspool failures and needs more information. Get those, like by the end of the month, get those ready to go, and then we will work with the Watershed Alliance in terms of supporting the mailings, right?
Yeah. Yes, and so we can follow up also, because we were talking about getting together with the Alliance for other things, so maybe we could do that this week, and Roberta was out today, but I know people are available tomorrow, but we could just look at our schedules and just find an hour to sit down and
Yep.
we could talk about both those things.
Okay, sounds great. So that's sort of first of mind. There's both two projects, Mental Health Awareness Month / Health Fair, and cesspool research outreach. So those are next projects. I need to also work on them. I have almost a draft, but for the next shorelines column.
Okay, good. I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, I have it. I just, it's been busy on the home front.
So we know what I'll do one for May for sure.
Absolutely. I will need to do one on the Public Health Excellence Grant soon, and I'm sure we can come up with other topics.
Well, we're also working on the
Oh, annual report. Thank you for reminding me. Yes.
annual report, which I didn't get in, Matt just mailed it to me. I said, I don't have this. I've been writing all over this piece of paper for my ideas on what we want to include, and
Okay.
so.
Do you want to just give that, or do you want an electronic copy that you would edit? What do you suggest?
I'd say give me an electronic copy. And I can,
I'm not sure I emailed any of you the electronic copy of it, so I will definitely do that.
right.
Okay. And I've already gotten feedback from Phil, thank you very much, and as well as the narrative to add. So,
Right, yeah. And
Yeah, and then I just had a suggestion, I talked to Matt, it might be helpful to just say, these are the departments that the Board of Health is responsible for, and then do each department
Separately, yep.
So it's a little bit easier to read and follow what the responsibilities are and what we've accomplished in each department.
Yep, and I think we can streamline that a little bit as per
Mhm.
what Phil suggested. Okay. Anything else?
Well, I don't want to overstep my bounds. I was going to move to adjourn, but
That's
Madam-
your
Madam
job.
Chair.
Don't take away the one.
already wrote down his name now.
See? That's right, don't take my big job away from me.
Strike that comment.
The secretary's job. Okay, so I move that we adjourn this meeting at 5:24 PM.
second.
All in favor? Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you very much.